Sorry, it keeps cutting because of the poor connection. So,
Someone
I was talking about the.
Someone asked a question
Yeah.
that which sector do you think would help us to reactivate the economy in the immediate short term?
Okay. I would have loved the question to have been posed as which reforms, and it's also linked to sector anyway, where you can get big reforms and I can deliver really big, massive benefits to the economy. Number one, let's look at the macro. We need to manage foreign exchange far better. We need to forget the concept, what we've been doing, having multiple exchange rates and all that. All this only gives a signal to investors that, look, these people are not serious. You're only going to have hot money that will flow in at the sign of small trouble, it flows out. We need to establish a reputation for good macroeconomic management. We need to deal with subsidies. Now we're saying we're not doing all subsidy again for subsidy. Bloomberg released something I think 4 days ago, and they claimed, and it's like to be true, that Nigeria spent 4 times more money on fuel subsidy than on healthcare, education, building labs. We need to exit all these policies. We've done them for 40 years, 30 years. It's landed us in this mess. We can't continue with them. Let's spend our money on things that can strengthen the economy. Infrastructure, education. Nigeria, as you know, became what they call the global capital of poverty. India is 1.3 billion people. Nigeria is under 200 million. And here we have more poor people than India. What do we spend on? It's a reflection of our priorities. We're not spending on primary education. All these little things, they strengthen the economy. The education you give to people, I don't want to use funny words. Let's just say amajiris. They can be potentially productive if you give them basic education. We need to strengthen our education. There's so many things that we can do better. Look at the power sector. We did a reform. Someone did a calculation. I think economists at one American institution, which found that we will need to spend, I think, $90 billion over the next 30 years to be able to build our power sector up to a point where we can meet the demand of industry and household. We did our reform so we could get money into the power sector. But since 2014, what we've done is to abandon that reform totally. And the government starts using money it should spend on education or other on healthcare to invest in, to give subsidy to the power sector. So these are, big ticket items. These are big waste in the economy. And it's all linked. If you open up your power sector to genuine reform, to genuine investment, it brings in foreign capital, which goes into your reserves, which strengthens the naira. So those are little things. Let's go to areas like railway. There is no reason why we shouldn't allow where the private sector can invest in railways. If you lay your economic bed very well, your policy bed very well, a lot of foreign dollars will fall on it. Nigeria is highly indebted. The money we have is chicken change compared to what investors can bring. If we show them we know what to do, we are welcoming investment. So power sector, let's go back to reform. Railway, let's welcome investment. Hopefully we won't spend billions of naira again on fuel subsidy when we need to invest in education and building human capital. So you can look at it and decide it's optimistic because if you come from the, the pre-COVID era of zero reforms and you move to very high level of concentrated reforms, people will look at you and you and invest in your economy. So there's so many things we can decide to do differently and get a kind of capital that can get the economy going, create jobs, create investments, bring foreign exchange into the economy. Yeah, someone is saying we are sliding into huge indebtedness to China on account of several loans. I don't think Nigeria has a lot of China loans. What has been worrying is that because Nigeria doesn't want to answer questions, policy questions around why we're wasting so much money on fuel subsidy, why we're not educating children, why we're paying subsidy to supposedly privatize power sector companies. We have left IMF money that we can get at 1%, and we've been raising bonds in the West at 7%, at 8%. You know, those are mistakes we made in 2015 to 17. We shouldn't go back. So anyway, I don't think commercial banks are ready to lend us money in. But there's a lot we can do to get a bit of money from the IMF and also from commercial investors if we prepare critical sectors, if we open them up to investment. But let me say this, the private sector has a role to play in putting pressure on the government. It's a bit fertile to start opening my little corner in my office that, oh, I'm going to be a genius and I'll do something fantastic and a lot of money will come to my business. When the federal government, or they're not doing what they ought to do to open all the economy to investment and to improve things. If you listen carefully to what the Minister of Finance said, when we applied to get the IMF Rapid Response Facility, which is just humanitarian aid, or you're going to take and spend on COVID-19. It's not money meant to really improve your economy in the long term. She said we're not doing an IMF program. That's sending out the signal that we're not ready for serious reforms. The way IMF programs work is that it sends a signal to potential investors that, look, you are ready to start taking a serious look at your own policies. Because if you spend your own money very well, it makes you less vulnerable to shocks. If the government doesn't overextend itself, giving subsidies to the sector, doing railway, doing all sorts of things, power sector for transmission, it makes government finances tighter, and it makes us less vulnerable to shocks. So, like I said, the advantage of engaging the IMF is that you will be forced to take a serious look at waste in your economy. You won't. Everyone knows. When I was in primary school, there was something we had called RNG. The same thing became round tripping when I got to university, which simply means you take, subsidized, very high exchange, very low value naira from the CBN, and you go and flip on the black market and get your, you get a big markup on earned profit. We're not serious if we still want to go on with such policies. And that's a signal you get when the Minister of Finance is saying we don't want to do an IMF program. It simply means we don't want to take a serious look at wasteful policies in our economy. So all the things we need to do to get investment going, to show the world that we can manage our macroeconomy far better, they're all obvious. It's just a question of, do we have the political will to do it? In my own mind, I think the government is so people have a wrong view of what reforms are. If you cancel fuel subsidy, are you making life more difficult for people? I know that's not, I'm just illustrating. It's not something that's relevant again. All prices have collapsed, there's no subsidy again. But there are other areas where instead of the government just running away and say, oh, we're not doing reform, we're not talking to the IMF, let the government speak to the people and convince the people that development and progress is not wishful thinking. It's about making hard choices. Let's make these hard choices together. And it's going to be for the long-term benefits of businesses and individuals. And it's not as difficult as people think it is. And you don't have to try too hard to convince people that it doesn't make sense to subsidize people like Mr. Fagade and myself, who have 2-3 cars, while people are somewhere in Ogun State or Borno State not having primary education. So the risk is that people who you can give basic skills and make more productive in the economy, it's just making them their useless people are potentially criminals. So these are we need to get back to discussing reform seriously in Nigeria. Hello, are there any other questions or any other issues you want me to address? Okay, to go back to an issue I was trying to explain. When purchasing power collapses seriously in the economy because government is slashing budgets, salaries are being delayed, countries can't access dollars or foreign exchange to buy in because they're sacking people. There's no how many businesses will be negatively impacted. Only a few will be lucky to change their model to new things. We used to make luxury dresses for elites. Is now, using our business to sew things hospital needs, coats to protect it, taking care of COVID-19 patients, face masks, and all that. I'm happy for her. It even seems she's even busier than when she was sewing luxury items. But not everyone will be that lucky. If you are in advertising, if you are in the outdoor business, if you are in catering, your clients are cutting costs brutally because their own businesses are diminishing. Banks make money when there's activity in the economy. Once the activities are not there, they would have to cut. So there's this scope for a lot of us to, think out of the box. I don't want to think out of the box. I don't want to be an inspirational speaker that will say you swear to aspire your aspiration and there's magic you can do in your corner. So our hope lies in the government biting the bullet, taking the bull by the horns and unleashing mega reforms in the economy that can bring in serious money. Procter & Gamble left Nigeria, I think 2 years now. The kind of money they were investing and how it goes into the value chain is instructive. When we want to think about the kind of money we should be, we should be aiming to attract $300 million investment in building a new plant, $150 million here and there. Those are the kind of investment that can power, that can power the economy. Everybody gets the benefits. Forex comes into the economy. People build, people design for them, then people distribute. And that's on one side. We can also, like I alluded to, get foreign investment into serious infrastructure, power sector, railway, and so on and so forth. So yeah, someone is still asking questions about China. Um, this may be a bit ideological. Chinese have gotten a lot of countries into problem because China wants to export capital and it wants to export labor. They don't look at things around sustainability of your own economic policy. Even if you're building the wrong things, China will give you the loan and find a way to get back its own money. It's often a burden on the person, on the country receiving the loan. So personally, I'm still for trying to mobilize low interest multilateral money from the World Bank, from the IMF, which comes with a lot of advice on how to. It's not perfect, but it's still better than looking for money from China. So um, I can't tell you. So, but just to go back to something I explained before, important. Uh, right first, and surviving meaning to really improve our game. This thing called COVID-19 doesn't know African time or African state capacity. Uh, the I was scared 2 days ago reading about another all exporting economy called Ecuador. A bit careless, like all similar girls, they weren't too careful. It got so bad that in homes and rotten, couldn't find places to bury them.